Okay, so this video is going to be how to set up your house in preparation for your special needs baby. I've been debating on whether to make this video for over 4 years now. Maddie is now about 4.5, and when we first brought her home from the hospital, we didn't know how to set up our house. Maddie is trach dependent. She's also got a G-tube, and she doesn't protect her airway at all. So she's got a lot going on. We needed a lot of equipment, and while the equipment company did come out to the house and show us how to use that equipment, they didn't give us any help at all in how to set up and prepare the house for when we brought this new little baby home. So Maddie spent 66 days in NICU before we got her home, and so we had a little bit of time to kind of assess the situation and figure things out. But in that time, I could not figure out how to set up our house. I couldn't find any videos on YouTube, and again, the equipment company was no help, and as much as Cincinnati Children's tried to help, was a little disappointed. They assumed, or actually they told me that the equipment company would show me how to lay out our house to bring Maddie home. And so I'm making this video to help the next guy. So anybody with any nasty comments or anything, please keep those to yourself. So to start off with, you want to lay stuff out easy for your nurses. Like we are, knock on wood, supposed to have nursing every night. So nurses come in the back door. I always make sure that I clean them a spot. It's wintertime now, so if it's snowing, I always make sure I clean them a spot. I take care of the back steps here. We don't use this walkway for ourselves. We have an attached garage, but this is where the nurses come in, so you want to keep that clean. Give them a broom and a shovel, some safety salt there. They can use that broom if they want to clean off their cars or whatever, but make sure you keep it nice and lit. Turn on the porch light for them at night. They come in, you want to make them feel very welcome here. So give them a place, put their shoes. We take off our shoes, we come in the house here, wash your hands, and essentially coming into our kitchen. Well, our living room has now been converted to a bedroom. So you want your nurses to have room in the refrigerator to put their food when they come in. Then you want them to wash up, and you want to make sure that you always have plenty of clean towels for them. If they prefer paper towels, they can wash their hands and dry them with paper towels too, that's fine. We want to make it as easy to be clean as possible. Again, there's a hand towel hanging there that gets changed throughout the day. This is primarily the nurse's station. In the daytime, it's me. I'm Madeline's primary caregiver during the day. So this is normally where I hang out, and I'm hanging out in here. I got my computer plugged in over there. We got Wi-Fi. We make sure we get high-speed Wi-Fi for the nurses. You want them to have plenty to do, stay awake at night, bring their tablet, play on their phone, whatever it takes to keep them awake. These lights in the kitchen stay on all night. The lights in there go off at night, and I have a board. It's not pretty, but it works. I keep a board under the bed here, and at night I pull that board out. It's a piece of like hard, like Luan or something. Anyhow, like a 1/4 inch piece of plywood roughly is what it is, and that sticks down in the bed here, and it allows Madeline to have a shadow cast over her head and a portion of her upper torso when she's sleeping. So the nurses can keep their lights on, but Maddie has it dark in here, and they can still see her. They can still see her body, just her face has a little shadow cast on it. So as they're sitting in here, then they're able to still monitor her equipment. You'll see that thing that's stacked up there in the top of the corner is her pulse oximeter. She wears that at night, and on top of that is a camera. Now that camera is a wireless camera that we carry with us at night when we go to bed. It points on Madeline. We can kind of see a little bit of, just over her shoulder, sort of. We can kind of see a little bit of the kitchen here. So in the middle of the night, if you're curious what's going on, you don't have to come out here and disturb the nurse or whatever. You flip on the camera, and you can keep an eye on what's going on. Twice now, Madeline is 4.5 years old. Twice now we've had nurses fall asleep at night. And if it were not for that camera, we would not have known about it. In one instance, the pulse oximeter was alarming, and the nurse had still not woken up. So that camera had very likely saved Madeline's life that night. So there's always that. So invest in a decent little camera. She's got her pulse oximeter set up there. The nurses are able to see that. Madeline is eating right now, so she's on her pump, and that pump is then also visible when she's hooked up at night. She eats overnight as well. So the pump I've got with the IV pole kind of tucked down in the bed here. This bed is from Beds by George. This was set up through Cincinnati Children's. They got us this bed, and it's got all kind of funny features on it and stuff. You know, it's got the electronic tilt and stuff like that. There's a controller for it. We don't use any of that. This bed we used to have just a Walmart regular baby crib, and it had a changing table on the end of it, and that worked out real well. And we were able to keep all Maddie's equipment and stuff just like we have it here. Madeline simply outgrew that bed. She just got too long for it, so we had to step up in size, and when we did, we just went with, you know, what Cincinnati Children's recommended we should do on a long-term bed. Because she's so small, and because I don't want to have the nurses to have to reach all the way to the back of the bed, because that's a pretty good reach. I'm about 6 foot tall, and that's a reach for me. I've got a long body pillow in here. Oh, that's Madeline's buzzer. Okay, she's done eating now. Anyhow, I've got a long body pillow tucked under the sheet here, and that keeps her, I mean, she's little, you know, she's little wide, so that keeps her from being able to roll all the way over there where the nurses can't get to her at night. So she's kind of confined to this area, but it's still very comfortable for her. So that's the bed. Now this bed, originally, I made that rail. You could probably order one shorter. Some of our nurses are not super tall, so this rail would have been like 6 inches taller, and that's even harder for them to reach across here. Now we've had nurses that were, I'm going to say, just barely over 5 feet tall. So reaching across the bed rail is tough for them. So you don't want them to have to drop that rail to get to Maddie, because then you got the option, you know, then she's able to maybe roll out. So anyhow, keep your bed rails just high enough to keep the baby safely inside, where the baby's not going to get up on her knees and jump out, but low enough where it's comfortable for the nurses. Now over here we've got everything that you need for basically for diaper changes on the top shelf. We prefer hand washing after every diaper change, but we keep Germ-X just because. So Germ-X is a good thing to have around. We've got one here. I keep one over there next to where the nurses sit at night, so they've got it there too. These Sandy hands, this is the new style here. I'm not crazy about these. The old style was better, but we keep Sandy hands here for them to wash, wipe down their equipment. Some of them bring their stethoscopes in. They want to monitor Maddie a little closely. So this is always here for them. Over on that counter, I have that big yellow canister is the generic Clorox wipes. We get those from Sam's because we use a ton of them. So then we got place for gloves. You got mediums and larges, depending on what size they wear. Wipes, butt cream, and diapers, and that's pretty self-explanatory stuff there. The next tray down, and I should say that this shelf, I bought this at Lowe's, and I just cut it off the length because it came like, I don't know, it was probably that tall. I didn't need it that tall. So I just cut those off the length with a hacksaw or a sawzall, whatever you got handy, that'll work. Or just get yourself a shorter shelf. Anyhow, it fit in here with enough room where we could still open the door to go down to the basement. So put that shelf in there, and on the second shelf here we got Q-tips. We use more Q-tips than any person should probably in their whole lifetime. We use Q-tips for trach care, for G-tube care, for whatever. We use a lot of Q-tips. So I got the Q-tips there. Sensicare, man, that is the best butt cream you will ever find. If you've got a diaper rash problem, which we see a lot here in our house, Sensicare is the best. You can use the weird, home concocted stuff like Cincinnati Children's got this magic butt paste, they called it, that the pharmacy created or whatever. It was a borrowed recipe from Columbus Children's or something like that, but that Sensicare is the best stuff you'll find. It's expensive, but it's the best stuff you can get. We've got an assortment of syringes for giving medications. Those are her little trach vents. And then this is a lot more for trach care stuff, the trach collars, you know, the ties. Aquaphor, we use that. We use that around her trach and G-tube. And then some hairbrushes and stuff like that. Matt's got long hair, so down here we have trays for bags, 10 in a bag of suction catheters, and here are loose suction catheters. We just grab those out, and I'll keep a stack back there in the corner. Down at the bottom we have some containers of her feeding bags. She gets a new feeding bag every night, so we got a couple of containers of those. And we order our supplies monthly. Our local supplier is George's Family Pharmacy in Sunman, Indiana. And they're part of the George's family. The equipment actually comes from Batesville, Indiana, but Sunman is our local pharmacy. And Batesville is where we get all our equipment. Sunman is where we get our pharmacy stuff. So over here again, I've got the pole. I took the pole off the base, and the base is down there. I unscrewed it, slid the pole down inside the bed, and then screwed it back to the base again so that I could get it on the inside of the bed rail. Again, our nurses are short, so I can't keep it out here because I would have to keep it up higher. So keep it down, comfortable for everybody to use. And it's still, again, visible when you're sitting over there. At a glance, you can see that the pump's running. Back here, we've got the pulse oximeter. We hook that up at nighttime. And these things, the pulse ox probes, they come with like a 2 or 3 inch long bandage looking thing on the end. Cut those off. It's just more comfortable for her to not have that adhesive stuck to her, all that extra adhesive, and it doesn't last more than about a night anyhow. So we try to make these last as long as we can. And with that, we use these posy wraps. The number on those is 6554. So we lay that against Madeline's wrist. A lot of kids wear it on their toe. Madeline has terrible circulation to her feet, so she gets that put on the outside of her wrist. So we lay that on her wrist, and then we wrap it up with a posy wrap for comfort, you know. So and that holds it on as well. Saline bullets in an emergency. These are the little twist top saline bullets for her trach. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. A flashlight. Keep a little flashlight here. You okay, Freddie? Keep your fingers out of your mouth. Pull your shirt back. Oh my gosh. Anyhow, Maddie's getting where she likes to take off her shirt now. Keep a flashlight here for your nurses at night because it's kind of dark. You okay, Freddie? Here, let's wipe you up a little bit. Clean your stoma up. So anyhow, we get the saline bullets. I'm taking care of her, so I don't know what the camera's looking at, but okay, better. Okay. Saline bullets there for emergency situation. We also have the trachs. I've got a trach with ties and an obturator in it, ready to go on the inside of her bed. So in an emergency, you just got to grab it, rip the bag open, and you're good. Spare obturator just because. And over here, always keep water. This is, we reuse these containers. We wash them every day, but I'll fill up a little container of water and take the top off. I'll take the lid off and put the container in a little, I made a little holder and screwed it to the bed rail. But this is rinse water, so like when you suction Maddie at night, the suction catheter may not get used again for, you know, a little while, and whenever you suction her, then you just get a little rinse water for your suction catheter. So that I always put that in the bed rail at night for the nurses. Again, on this side of the bed, we've got more storage for odds and ends. This is the container, I think, came from Big Lots, so it didn't take anything fancy. This is just cheap little 3-drawer container set on a coffee table, end table. In here we've got posy wraps. So these are the pulse ox probes. This is what they look like before I cut that extra bandage part off. Extensions, you always want to keep your G-tube extensions handy because you just never know. And then just all kind of oddball stuff, anything you might need. We use these flexi tracks, and I cut them in half long ways and use those to attach her G-tube to her side to keep it from pulling off and keyholing the G-tube site. So just you can see what's in there, some tapes and stuff like that. This drawer down here is her cool mist stuff. So her lines, I need to get some lines put over here again. We change her lines out all the time. Here's the canisters. We rewash those, reuse those. This is an adapter that I made. Those lines either come on a big long roll, like a 100-foot roll, or you can get them in 6-foot lengths. Right now, the way we have Maddie set up, she needs about 8 feet. So we cut those lines, or excuse me, she needs about 7 feet. So 2 sections of line is about 1 foot. So I cut a piece of, I think this is 3/4 inch. It's CPVC, and I think it's 3/4 inch. Cut that and then beveled the edges just a little bit, and then I'm able to attach multiple lines together with this little adapter. So we use a 6-foot length. Here's her trach mask hanging here that's ready to go if she should need it during the day, and we'll change that tonight. And this is a 6-foot length. And that 6-foot length stops there. Then you can see I've got my little adapter and then another foot into the canister there. I don't have any drip container or drip collector because when we stretch this all out, the lowest point of the system is the canister. So what happens is any condensation in the line makes its way back to the canister, so I don't need any kind of drip collector. But I do have those here, and you may need those in your situation. This would be like an inline drip collector. But again, I've got mine set up, and it's down here. Bottom drawer is suction canisters and lines. Again, Maddie doesn't protect her airway, and she's wearing her Passimure valve right now, which has made a huge improvement in the amount of suctioning that we have to do with Maddie. You can hear her coughing, but you haven't heard me suction, so that's huge. Anyhow, underneath the table there, we have room for her cool mist compressor, which runs all night, every night. We change that water out, change that canister out. And then this is her suction machine, and there's the tank. And that machine, the switch is on the back. What I did, because we were using this so very much when she was a baby, I mean, there were times where you would spend hours and hours standing at the bedside with a suction catheter in your hand. Because we did so much suctioning, you almost didn't have time to come around to this machine to turn it on and then go over to Maddie and suction her. So what I did was rig up you can hear the machine kick on. I've got switches. I rigged up a switch. First I rigged up a hand switch, this, and that goes to a box behind that machine, and the machine plugs in that box. It's a little outlet box that I made. So the machine switch is on, but that box is controlled by this hand switch, so it comes on and off when you need it. After I used that for a while, I realized that it could be better, and so I put on a foot switch. So when I hit the foot switch now, you can hear the pump come on. Let off, hold it down, it goes on, let off, turns off. That made a huge improvement in Madeline's care. So you can buy those. I know you can buy these for meat grinders. So with the idea of that meat grinder in mind, that's how I made the one for our suction machine. So and over here we have, this is a portable changing table. Actually, it's not supposed to be portable. My brother-in-law is a hell of a good guy, and when Maddie came home, we talked about, you know, how we were setting things up and everything, and he came up with the idea of putting the changing table on rollers. So he and my sister lined us up with his changing table, and he put it on rollers for us, so it stays over here most of the day, and then at night we do Madeline's care. We pull the changing table over here. I set her high chair up right here next to the garbage can. I line out all the things I need for trach care and G-tube care on her high chair here. I lay a blanket or a towel down, and I lay all her things out here, and then she lays on the changing table. I stand on this side. Again, this pulls away from the wall. Her mom stands on the other side, and Maddie then sits on the changing table, and her mother holds her up, holds her trach in, so it's a two-handed job for Maddie's mom. And then while she's holding her trach in, I remove the ties, clean up Maddie's neck with a little wash rag, and then put the ties back on, the new trach ties, retie them, we check the tightness and everything, and then Maddie's able to lay on this. Okay, so this worked for a while. This is a regular standard changing table. And Madeline got a little bit long. Rather than building a whole new table, I built a flip out little platform here. And it's got a support that comes down, it dangles down, and it engages a little bracket there. So now the table was extended, and I think it's like 15 inches or 16 inches, which now works great for Maddie. She's a little longer, so her feet come out to here. And when I made this table, it's got foam padding in it. You can buy that stuff at Joann Fabrics. This is outdoor vinyl. This is like for boat seats and stuff. Funny story on this. This is leftover from when I had a Humvee and I recovered the seats. So like military Humvee seat vinyl, you know, she's hardcore over here. So anyhow, that outdoor vinyl stuff works great because Madeline wears boots at night. She has club feet as well. So I wash her feet every night, and her feet are a little damp when they're laying here after they've just been washed. So while they're drying, this vinyl works out real well. It's easy cleanup. And then when we're done with, doing her care at night, pull that rod out, that swings down, and it's out of the way. So that shortens the table back up again. On this table, we have Madeline's portable suction machine, which is always plugged in and always charging. That never ever comes off the charger when we're home, because that's our emergency backup as well. When we go out, we use that, but when we're home, that's our emergency backup. So we always keep a canister on it, we always keep a line on it, and all anybody has to do is, if the power were to go out at night, they disconnect the suction catheter from that hose and they plug it into that hose, and then you've got a self-contained additional backup. This is Madeline's diaper bag, and that's just regular diaper stuff in that, nothing out of the ordinary, change of clothes, that sort of thing. This is the backpack that contains her feeding pump when we go out. She has an Interralite Infinity, and this is the little bag that comes with the Infinity pump. So that works out real well. And on that we have, it's called a mommy hook. I picked this up at Walmart. That is a really handy thing for clipping that bag onto things. You kind of got to, it's almost like an IV pole when you're out somewhere. If you can clip that onto like the oh shit handle of your truck, that handle that's above the door, I don't know what you really call it, that's all I ever heard it called. That works out real good. Then you can, monitor the level of the bag and everything pretty easily. You flip the front down on the backpack there, and you can see the pump and the bag hanging there. So anyhow, this little clip, after I spent big bucks on one at Walmart in the babies department, I found them at Harbor Freight. They're just that big, and they're about $2 or $3. So there's that. That bag is Madeline's red trach bag. Now, if you're new to having a trach baby, before the hospital sends you home, they should set you up with a bag that has everything you need in case of a trach emergency. That's got extra trachs in it. That's got an ambu bag. I actually also have a hand-operated suction pump in there in case her portable were to go down. I've got a hand pump, and it's got a little canister on it, and you just squeeze it to create a suction. Thank God I've never had to use it. Knock on wood, hopefully I never will. So all her trach emergency stuff is in that bag. So this whole shelf goes with us when we go out anywhere. You take a lot of stuff when you haul in a special needs kid around with you. So I think we run around with I think altogether 6 bags, because we take a backpack with extra stuff in it, another change of clothes, some extra spit rags and stuff like that, and that's in a backpack that I wear. Then we take a small, like a 6-pack Coleman cooler that has all Madeline's food in it. So, and these are her boots that she wears at night. We put those on after we do her trach care and her G-tube care. Bottom shelf was just toys and stuff. So we've got the TV set up over here and all Madeline's toys. Madeline's dresser. All her clothes are in that one little dresser. So the TV is not for nighttime because she could lay here and watch it. She's sitting there in a chair right now. She don't have no shirt on. So she sits here and watches the TV while she's eating and stuff. I need to get her out of that chair though. I don't want to make her sit in it any longer. She has to. But the TV is not for the nurses to watch at night. The TV is just during the daytime. We don't want to keep Maddie awake at night. The toys are not for the nurses to play with at night, and you got to talk to your nurses about that. Nursing at night is about taking care of Maddie, specifically keeping her healthy and safe and giving her what she needs. Nursing at night is not for playing with Maddie all night. Early on, we had nurses, one nurse in particular, I would come out in the mornings and there would be toys scattered all over the bed, and she would report to me how she and Maddie had a great night playing, and then Maddie would want to sleep all day because she was up all night playing. So you got to remind the nurses that, you know, cute little babies are not to be played with all night sometimes. But plenty of toys here for her to keep her busy because this is her room. So, you know, any little kid's bedroom's got a lot of toys in it. We just try to kind of keep it sort of organized. This is just a regular recliner. We throw, I don't know, we're like old people. We throw a freaking cover over everything because we're trying to protect our cheap Big Lots recliner for whatever reason. Anyhow, the recliner is not to be sat in when there are nobody else here. The recliner is not for nurses. The one nurse that fell asleep and could not be woke up by the machine fell asleep in that recliner. She knew she wasn't supposed to sit in it. She did it anyhow. So I don't even trust myself to sit in a recliner during the day. If nobody else is here, recliners are a good way to fall asleep. So you got to stay awake. You got a trach baby that needs suction occasionally. You got to stay awake. That's about all I got. You know, keep your nurses happy and content. Keep your house clean. That's the other thing. Trach babies, no indoor pets, no wood smoke. We had a wood burning, we had a wood stove add-on that was down in our basement that we used as our primary heat source in the wintertime. Well, that had to change because we can't have the smoke in the house. So we now burn propane, and we have a heat pump as well to try to help with the heat bill in the wintertime. But no wood smoke, no smoking in the house. Absolutely no smoking in the house. No pets, because you can't have that dander. You can have the cleanest house in the world, but if you got pets, it does not matter what you do, you're going to have hair everywhere. And I'm going to tell you right now, that right there is not somewhere you want to get hair stuck to. So, her little trach, you see me wiping her little stoma there. That's just stays moist all the time. So that's something that you just can't have pets in the house when you got a trach baby. Sorry. That's it in a nutshell. I know I'm running long here, but again, try to keep it, you know, garbage can there. It ain't got to be pretty. Another garbage can over there for diaper changes and stuff. You don't have to have it pretty. You know, you're going to have essentially strangers coming into your house, but you want to lay it out so that, you know, it's easy for you, it's easy for the nurses, and most importantly, it's easy for your child. If you have any questions at all, again, you can see I lay this out. Take cues from the hospital when you're in there. You know, dumb down everything to the lowest common denominator. Suction to 9 centimeters. Take it a step further. That's the 5th black dot. At night, you can't read the numbers here. You know, hell, I can't read them during the daytime half the time. So these 8 French, that's the 5th black dot. That's where you put your finger, and that's where you hold the trach suction catheter. So there's her HME. She's wearing her passive mirror valve, so I took her HME off. It's sitting there. It could probably be thrown away, and a new one here shortly. If you have any questions at all, I know this is a long video. I did a lot of talking here. I did a lot of yammering on about silly stuff. There is a lot to take in when you bring home a special needs child. Every special needs child is going to be different. Every kid's going to need a different setup. Every house is different. But if there's any way that I can help somebody else with any questions that they might have, because it is a scary thing bringing a special needs child home. She's our only child. She's our first child. It's a scary enough ordeal going through it, but if somebody else could help, it's always appreciated. So by all means, leave me a question in the comments. I'll try to help any way I can. Good luck.